Ride through the city like Brennan Schaub. I'm on a mission to get it all. Ride through the city like Brennan Schaub. If you ain't thick, please don't get involved.
And now, Brandon Thick Boy Schaub. Coming at you, yeah. Sunday. What's up, fam? It's Q&A with your boy, Big Brown. Big Brown. We are changing to the Big Brown Breakdown. And we got the graphics. We got the intro. It's spicy. Going to get a new set. But we're staying in the same building, just transferring to a little bit quieter location here. So we're going to launch it all at the same time. New studio, new vibes. When we say new vibes, it's just Big Brown Breakdown. The original. All right, let's get to it. So these for Sunday's show, this is all off YouTube, not the DMs I get on my Instagram stories. This is all the YouTube questions. So if you want to be featured and have your question answered, submit them in the questions now below on YouTube. That's the easiest way to get your questions answered, especially on Friday's show, Sunday's show. This is the bee's knees. This is how we're doing it. So when you put fan question like this gentleman did here, Chin and Nick see them, so much easier. So keep on keeping on. We got a ton, so let's jump right into the deep end. A Thor Racer 5. Fan question. Way to go, dude. Been waiting forever for my question, man. LL Dude. I've been wondering this forever. I hope you can explain. Why is there such a big deal when a fighter misses weight by a couple pounds when they are just going to be getting in the octagon weighing totally different? If they both weigh in at 170 come fight night, couldn't one of them be 185 and the other be 197 or even over 200? I just don't get the emphasis. More like an illusion of having them weigh the exact same 24 hours before they are going to weigh God knows what the next day. Because that's the protocol, man. That's the sacrifice these guys have to make. If you agree to fight at 170 and you don't make 170, it's not good. It's a discipline thing. And if you can't make it, then you shouldn't be in that weight class. So you have to establish order. There has to be a strict line drawn, and it's literally the worst thing you can do as a fighter is to miss weight. It's like the number one thing that pisses the UFC off. It's just so unprofessional. So say what you want about weight cutting and weight classes, that's a different debate, but in the current regulations, you gotta make the weight that you agreed to fight the guy at. So imagine if they were like, oh, it's okay if you come at 174, 177, and this guy's killing himself to make 170. It's just such an advantage. And then whatever they weigh in at, let's say it's 170, I keep saying 170, 155, 185, by fight night, whatever they want to do, that's on them, man. But they have to be sanctioned and regulated to fight at that contractual weight. It's just, that's the business, man. That's it. You can't have it loosey-goosey. You just can't. It'd be terrible. Terrible. What else you got, Jen?
Let's go to top.
Fan question, Genie MMA. Been listening for a while now, and my pops was actually the one who put me on to Thiccc. It's hilarious.
It's pops.
Thanks, dude. Your pops. That's how you know we're getting older, dude.
Yep.
My pops actually put me on. Oh, okay. Hopefully your dad's had kids young. Question. With all the talk about Makhachev and Topuria and the fight falling through, it's going to be harder to get that fight now. I disagree. I've always thought making a 165-pound division and moving welterweight to 175. Imagine a brand new weight class with Topuria going for the third belt, making it fair for both fighters with respect to the weight. Yeah, I agree. Then you could swap the Morales type welterweights to 175, the Brady type to 165. You could also get, he says, 125, 135, every 10 pounds. I hear you. You have every 10 pounds except for... See, this is the problem, dude. You're fat shaming. So you have every 10 pounds, and then at 205, 265. So then it's a 60-pound weight difference from light heavyweight to heavyweight. If they're going to do anything, there should be a cruiserweight like boxing at 225. The jump, how we're just all cool with it, how everyone's like, yeah, man, if you're heavier than 206... you just fight guys at 265. It's like, yeah, but I weigh 215. Yeah. Give up 50 pounds, 40 pounds. It's wild. But just because everyone's bigger, they assume it's all good. It's not all good. Trust me, it sucked. I'm with you as far as the 165-pound division. I don't think it would work in the heavier weights because there's just not enough talent who's competing in mixed martial arts. But the lower weights, especially your idea of the 165, I think that would crush. The issue now is if you have more weight classes, you're going to need more fighters. And do you think the UFC has a ton of talented, well-known guys at each division currently? Probably not, right? So this just waters it down more. If this was back in the day, say 10 years ago, this makes sense. Right now, it's like we have an issue fulfilling whatever they have contractually, 45 cards a year. So if you add more weight classes, it just waters down an already pretty thin roster. That's the issue. I like the idea. I'm with you. It'd make a lot more sense to do it, but we're just not, like I'm part of the UFC, but the UFC's just not in a place right now where they can add divisions to already watered down product.
When you were I forgot what you were, but you were still heavyweight.
I was 230. Sometimes I was I think the lightest I was 231. Heaviest I was 246, 47.
So could you have made the 225? You could have, right?
I could make 225, yeah.
So
I get down to 225 for Metamoris. That was pretty easy for me. 205 was
that would have been perfect then, yeah.
Yeah, 205 was not happening. Your boy.
Yeah.
Just thick boned. Big red bone, thin bone. Next question. Milton Matty Bell 33. Fan question. Milton from Scranton, Pennsylvania. Is there a world where you see Arman beating Ilia, defending 155 belt a few times, eventually running it back with Islam? Long shot, fairy tale question here for sure. I don't think so. I know Arman noted he wants to break the 155 belt defense record, but I wonder if he'd say, let's run it at 170, become a double champ while maintaining 55. You're the man. Look forward to every episode. Thanks, brother. Milton. No, I don't think it's crazy. This is the thing about 155 at lightweight. Like, obviously, Ilia's fighting Justin Gaethje at the White House. Who knows what they're going to do with Arman? He says they're going to give him the next title shot. Maybe they give him another warm-up. I don't know. But anybody that knows the sport knows that Arman's toughest fight is Ilia. Ilia's toughest fight is Topuria.
No, Islam.
No. Because Islam's not in the division. It's Ilia's toughest fight is Arman. Arman's toughest fight is Ilia. Those two need to fight. So all this discussion of Islam or can Arman defend the belt, it's all nonsense till we see them fight. Because it goes Ilia, Arman, everybody else. And it's a pretty far stretch from everybody else. So I think those gentlemen fight a few times before we're talking the Islam fight. You know, they're both so damn talented. That ain't a one and done. I think, let's say Arman were to beat him. Well, Ilia's the reigning champ, face of the UFC. They're going to give him an immediate rematch. Then maybe Ilia wins that one. And then Arman gets the trilogy fight. So the rubber match. So I think that's a story that's just going to get started. And it's going to be one of the best rivalries in UFC history. I think that's how that goes down. Fan question at SHNTRNR. Fan question. How do you think MVP MMA is going to be? Jake seems to know what he's doing with the promotion. I hope it does well. One love from Canada. P.S. No Leg Days episode was great. Thank you, man. Yeah, I was the first guest on the No Leg Days. They got Mike Israetel. They got Michael Hearn on there. They got Phil Heath. They're booking and shooting more shows right now. It's a fun show, man. Those guys, they need it in that genre, man. That fitness bodybuilding genre, those boys are going to crush it. They just got to keep booking big guests. But yeah, it's a fun show. Thanks, bud. It's available right now on No Leg Days YouTube. Jake seems to know what he's doing. Agree. Nobody's better at marketing than Jake. Hope it does well. How do I think MVP MMA is going to be? I think they need to not compete with the UFC, meaning that what made the UFC great back in the day, and I think Netflix has the means and the funds to do this, that what made it great was it was special. So Netflix whole thing is spectacles and eyeballs and views, and they're crushing all these, viewership records and all this shit. So instead of competing with the UFC and having a big fight every month and then 3 smaller fights at a fight night, let's say they call it the Netflix fight night or some bullshit. Now you compete with the UFC and you just don't have the roster. There's not enough fighters in the world to do 2 big leagues. So if I'm Netflix MVP, I go, okay, let's fill the void that we hear the UFC fans are complaining about. It's having stacked cards. So if I'm Jake Paul and his agents or managers, and I'm talking Netflix, I'm like, hey, we're going to do 6 cards a year. And they're going to be the biggest, most viewed cards. And it's going to be the Super Bowl every other month. They're going to be massive. And we just do 6 and we make them really special. And we book the biggest fights that are free agents, and we can do it that way. But as far as them having like contender series and up and comers and building guys that don't get in that business, don't do that. Just make it special. Make it like the UFC used to be, where the cards are all great. When you put on 6 of them, it's only 6. Even if it's 4, I'm cool with that. 4 to 6 cards, and they're stacked, and they're big names, and you're getting the eyeballs. I talked about this on Schaub Show yesterday, or on Monday. That gentleman out of KSW.
Phil DeFries.
Yeah,
there's Phil DeFries. Champion for forever, yeah.
Like, there's guys out there, and I think KSW would be like, yeah, you can use our guys for one fight. Just give us the marking, say, whatever, 15-time defending world MMA champion Phil DeFries versus Francis Ngannou for the pound for pound #1 heavyweight in the world, or whatever the fuck, however you want to bill it. But there's talent out there, man. You just gotta, the UFC is not going to play the game, but I think these other promotions would. So there's ways to do it to get these big names. That's what I would do. I would make it way less than the UFC and make it special. And that's the only way I think they're going to survive. And the way they're paying, you're going to have guys now, if they're a little longer in the tooth, but they have a big name, they're like, dude, I ain't re-signing. I'm going to go over to MVP Netflix. Get paid, baby. Fan question, Wayne Shaw 7758. What do you think about Josh Hokett? Fast turnaround after a war with Blades. Could we see another Stipe situation after Ngannou against DC? Yeah, if you're a Josh Hokett fan, you're not crazy about it. It's a crazy short turnaround. And if you're a Josh Hokett fan, which I am, you hope he doesn't fight Blades the way you hope he doesn't fight Derek Lewis the way he fought Curtis Blades. I think that would be a bad idea, especially after some of the war in the war, the punches that he had with Curtis Blades. But also, if you go back and watch the fight, a lot of it he's rolling with the punches. You can tell his face didn't really get beat up, so I think he's gonna be okay. I'd like to see an evolution for Josh Hokett, meaning he sticks to a game plan. He mixes up wrestling and striking, not just striking with Derek Lewis. That'd be a bad idea. At Blake Porter 1263. Fan questions. I'm going to my first UFC live fight night. JDM versus Carlos Pratas. Great fucking fight. Seems like a perfect strikers matchup. What are your thoughts on the fight? Absolutely love the fight. It's that could be on a pay-per-view, easily the second or third fight on a pay-per-view. It's an awesome fight night main event. Obviously, JDM coming off, he had some issues with Islam, but who doesn't? Pratas is this big, scary dude. This is just a peach's delight. JDM's boxing is some of the very, very best in the UFC. Pratas is an absolute monster. Pratas is fun, man. He's a fun one, too. So that fight is going to catapult somebody. Not JDM, not necessarily. It keeps him in the running, but you're not going to give him an immediate rematch right after beating Carlos Pratas. But it puts him right in the queue. He probably need to win one more to get another fight with Islam. For Pratas, it just catapults him right there to the top with the boys. So it's going to be interesting to see. Great fight, though, dude. What a great first fight. Way to pop your cherry with that. That's a good one. That's awesome. That's a great one.
When you had turnarounds on your fights, so Hokett has a very short turnaround, right? Was it 2 months or something like that? So what was like the timing that you felt like, okay, I can go, even when you're not like completely destroyed, but what was the turnaround? You're like, oh, you feel comfortable? Like a month,
I was a
2
guy
months?
where right after the fight, especially my earlier fights in the UFC, I was knocking guys out pretty fast. So I was back in the training room that Monday. If I fought on Saturday, I was back in the training room on Monday. I wasn't going full bore, but I was going pretty hard.
Yeah.
And if I was coming off a loss, it depends on the injuries, if there's concussions, but I'm not a guy that would wait around. But for Josh Hokett, it's his cardio is pretty damn good. So, but when it comes to cardio, you can only run at that level, that crazy cardio pace. It's a timing thing. So hopefully the people around him are smart, because if he just goes right back to the gym and continue the cardio, he's actually going to overtrain.
Yeah.
So he should be in there kind of taking it light right now. And he didn't get out of shape. And then probably about 4 weeks before the fight, then we ramp it all the way up. So he's not going to need such a long camp, because you're still reaping the benefits from that previous camp with Curtis Blades. Miggy Z13, MIGGZY13. Fan question. I'll try another question you never answered me, asking why you never opened up your own gym. Why I never opened my own gym? There's it's not really my thing, and there's also no money in it. But for a lot of people, it's their passion, so I get why they do it. But no, I would never open my own gym. The worst business you can open are gyms and restaurants. It's tough to see profit off a gym, man. There's too many gyms to compete with, and you'd have to put everything you're doing, all your efforts into a gym just to get it to break even. So not my thing. And I'm too busy with the kiddos and their sports, stuff like that. Moving on, Dana was asked recently at one of the press conferences, is the UFC coming back to Ireland, and would Conor and Ian Gary be on that fight card? Dana replied, no, the Conor Ian Gary fight won't be in Ireland. My question is, have you ever heard rumblings of Conor versus Ian Gary? I mean, maybe back in the day a little bit, but no, not really. That would be a nightmare for Conor's comeback fight. Like he's been off how long? 4 years? Coming off a loss, and his leg fell off. And then to come back and fight a perennial contender and Ian Gary, a young kid, yeah. There's no really huge win for the UFC and Conor there. So it doesn't make too much sense. The Paddy fight makes a little more sense because, Paddy has some glaring holes in his striking, and obviously his fight with Justin Gaethje was super sloppy, and he's not a wrestler, so he has the jiu-jitsu kind of takedown style, which I think Conor can kind of negate that. So I think the UFC's more prone to book Conor versus Paddy than Ian Gary. Fan question, Boo Shami. After the Winnipeg card, there are no fight nights currently scheduled in North America through June. I know the UFC saves a lot of money doing fights at the Apex, but it's kind of crazy to me how you have to go to a numbered event to see a UFC event these days, which are super expensive, I know. Do you think we'll ever go back to the point where we have consistent fight nights around North America cities again? I hope so. Bud. I hope so. Because that's what makes it special. Like if you have a fan base in Pittsburgh, and look how great the Seattle card was, and there's all these cities that have been dying for the UFC to come to them. So the Apex suck, man. And then they're doing international, which is crazy. So yeah, I would love it if they went to Oklahoma City. They go to Pittsburgh. They do fight nights in Jersey. I know they have a numbered card there, but Salt Lake City, Montana, Denver, like there's so many cool places they could go. But they either do the Apex or international, which ain't great. But again, the reason they're going international is because the growth of the UFC is not in North America. It's international. So that's why they're doing it. Fan question, HBomb8467. What up, Brendan? Been a fan ever since you derailed the monster Marcus, the Ultimate Fighter. Thanks, dude. I was 12 at the time. I'm almost 30 now and have loved watching grow over the years. Hashtag boy dad. What up, dude? Say what's up to your kiddo. Damn, he was 12 when I was fighting? God, dog, I don't know. I feel old too now. I'm coaching football. I remember parents asking my coach questions. I'm getting these questions from parents. It makes you feel old. Khamzat is my favorite fighter. I was wondering if you agree with me on the topic of best grapplers we've ever seen in the UFC. Where does Chimaev rank in your all-time grapplers? And if you beat Strickland, who do you see possibly staying his way at any division? Khamzat's up there. Khamzat's up there. Obviously, you'd have now we're talking MMA grapplers, right, in the UFC. So you have Khamzat, you would have Khabib. You got some pretty gnarly guys in there for all time. I mean, obviously
any division.
Yeah, you got Islam as well. You got Sean Brady. But if you're talking about all time greats, man, you know, RDR is a great grappler, but it's rare he shows it. And Chimaev is more of a striker. People think he's a grappler, though. Gamrot's a damn good grappler. You got Charles Oliveira, right? Yeah, it's tough. Go back to his question. Best grappler's ever seen. He's up there. The issue is when it comes to MMA grappling, I factor in finishing capabilities. So I think that's where Khamzat needs to improve. You know, his grappling as far as getting guys down and being tenacious and, you know, the transitions and the scrambles, like he's amazing. Arman's amazing at that. Ilia's amazing at that. But for Khamzat, I would like to see, since he's so dominant in that aspect, his thing, he needs to focus on finding finishes. So he needs to add that to it, and his ground and pound, right? Like, we're going off the Duplessis, the DDP fight, where it's like, we got to do some damage, man. So based off that fight, right, that was his last fight, you're not going to say, oh, that's the best I've ever seen, because, like, didn't really do much damage, had him in the crucifix for fucking basically 30 minutes, didn't really do anything, his face was that messed up, didn't go for any submissions. So in order for Khamzat to get there, and he will, because he hears all the backlash he's getting, I bet against Strickland he's going to be looking for more finishes. Fan question, Nori Mac 4921. If super fights had been a thing in the past, how do you think a fight between GSP and Anderson Silva would have went? Also, would love to see Merab versus Volkanovski at some point. Yeah, me too, brother. Me too. I don't know how many Volkanovski has left, though, but that would be a great fight. Great fight. I'd love to see Merab go up and compete. Because Volkanovski's done it, right? At 55? That'd be fun. So between GSP and Anderson Silva, man, back then, both in their prime, I probably would have sided with GSP. That's a safe bet just because of his takedown capabilities. If you saw what Chael did to Anderson back in the day, kind of dominated him and then self-sabotage, got caught in a triangle with like 30 seconds left. GSP probably would have done that, but just his position alone and how smart he was on the feet, he was very hard to hit. So I'd favor GSP over Anderson back in the day. Fan question, Weenie Hut Jr. 8316. Is there a Weenie Hut Jr. 1? Like, is there 8,316 Weenie Hut Juniors? How do you game plan against a guy like Khamzat? The problem is if you find yourself with your back against the fence, you're a lot of times stuck there for the remainder of the round. I thought Dustin set a pretty good blueprint against Islam in a couple rounds in their fight where he controlled the center of the ring and never backed up. If you were Strickland, is this the approach you take for Khamzat? It seems like the answer is to stay in the middle and circle, but the guys seem to end up against the fence every time. Yeah, I mean, to beat a guy like Khamzat, you have to have great footwork. To your point, if you're just going to go straight back, you're going to get ran into the cage and taken down. He uses the cage really well for his takedowns. So that's why I think the Strickland's a tougher, trickier matchup for Khamzat than a lot of people are expecting. Strickland does have very good footwork, but the number one thing to beat a guy like Khamzat you have to have, because he's not a finisher. He's really not. Unless he gets something super quick, like in the Kevin Holland fight. As the fight goes on against, especially upper echelon guys with good submission defense, he's not going for the kill a lot. So to me, if I'm Strickland, I come in with insane cardio because you got to weather the first 3 rounds. You got to make him work as much as possible to drain that tank. So then the 4th and 5th, you become the aggressor. We're not going to beat him by decision. So that 4th and 5th round, we got to look for finishes and apply all that pressure towards Khamzat. And just those first 3 rounds, we're wearing his ass out. Even if we don't have a ton of success standing up, we're making him work. We're making him work because he's not going to finish you. So we're making him work, down, up, shot after shot after shot. Eventually, that gas thing is going to go, zhoosh, and then you go to work. So it's a tricky game plan. You got to have the right skill set to get it done. Strickland's that guy. I'm not saying he is. Out of anyone, he has the best shot at it. Fan question, 3M3 RUL 3D RAN BO. Jesus.
It's a thing on top of the A.
Fan question. The heavyweight division has some potential coming up with Gable, Hokit, Aspinall, Poton. In your opinion, how should the UFC bring these guys up without snuffing out the entertainment too soon? In your opinion, how should the UFC bring these guys up without snuffing out the entertainment too soon? How would you...
Without pushing out the... What does it mean by snuffing?
Maybe he means like, how would you handle a guy? I assume on that list would be Gable because he's the only one that they don't need to... Because Hokit, Aspinall, Poton that they've brought up. Like those guys are signed, sealed, delivered so far. Especially Hokit after last fight. And then Aspinall's been fighting for a hot second. Poton's Poton. He's one of the faces of the UFC. With Gable, I think it's, again, it's a marathon, not a sprint. I know we're all vying to see him compete and him versus Hokik and all this shit. It's like, buddy, he's 4 or 5 fights away from fighting anybody in the top 8, at least. So I think we got to slow our roll. I know the division is bad, but it's going to be a disservice to Gable if you throw him in there too soon. You know, if you watch his last fight before he got to the UFC, he got hit with a pretty hard wheel kick. So he definitely has some things he needs to work on, 100%. And again, he's doing this all outside the UFC. You really don't know what you got till the lights are hot. You got Bruce Buffer announce your name. The UFC jitters is real. Ask anybody. Ask Bo Nickel. Ask freaking Aaron Pico. Michael Venom Page. Like it's a real thing. So for Gable, he's been at the highest levels in wrestling. Mediocre levels at MMA right now. So this can be a different animal. So you got to let him get used to that so he can flourish when he does get to those big names. At hunting season, fan question: Mokaev versus Marias. He's talking about on MVP card. Did anyone see this coming? Marias' record has taken a hit, but I think this is a top 3 bantamweight fight you can make now. Definitely top 5. You haven't spoken much about it, so maybe I'm just casual posting as a hardcore. Tell us your thoughts, please. Yeah, I think this brings legitimacy to the MVP card because before it was just like Nate, Mike Perry. It's like, okay, what's the expectations with that? What's this mean in the grand schemes as far as being the best in the world? Not much. Ronda, Gina. All right. Well, Gina hasn't fought in fucking 17 years. She's mid-40s. Ronda's about to be 40. What's that mean in the grand scheme of things? Francis versus Homeboy. It's like, all right, Homeboy used to be 205, was in the UFC, but there's a better heavyweight out there. I keep telling you guys about him, Philip DeVries. So it's not his toughest competition. We've seen him fight tougher guys. What's it do in the grand scheme of things? Not much, but it's a fight, so we're going to watch. But Mokaev and Marias, it's like, well, now you're talking about legit. Marias might be a little bit out of his prime, but yeah, to your point, definitely a top 5 bantamweight fight, no matter what league you're in. So that fight, to me, if you're hardcore, you should star that because that's the most skilled fight on the card, bar none, by far. And the winner of that actually, it means something. Like you move up in the rankings. The other ones, who's really moving up from their win?
It's entertainment, yeah.
Yeah, it's entertainment. This is a legit pro fight at the highest level. Yeah.
Undefeated guy versus a guy that actually beat Mighty Mouse at one point.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you about Gable. So remember, like, even during the fight, the coaches kept yelling, hands up, hands up, hands up. And then he got kicked.
Yep.
So they saw it coming and he didn't listen because I'm sure he was trusting his instincts, right? At that level.
Yeah, it's just an experience thing.
So do you think he now will be like when his coaches say, even though he has an instinct to do something else?
It takes more than one fight. That's the thing. It takes more than one fight to drill that in. So I'm sure they're working on training camp and stuff, but until the bullets are real and they're flying, it's tough to work on that stuff. So again, he's going to be a monster. You just got to let him cook.
Yeah.
Everyone's trying to push him. Oh, Hokik. It's like, fuck, dude. Hokik's 5. So... All right, what do you got, Jen? Here, Auto Guide Auto Guided Productions. Question, no more rain sponsor. Rarely saw you drink them, and Chin never does. Just wondering. Yeah, I was with them for damn near 5 years. I never drank it. I would if it was the only thing we had. It's not great for you. It's just not. We all know this. So my thing is, it's tough for me. I got kids, and I'm coaching teams, and people are like, dude, that rain stuff. And it's like, yeah. They were great though, man. They were great. My contract was up in April, and we just decided to part ways. It was mutual. Forever grateful for them, especially my boy Braden there. They were great. It's just I'm at a point now where, especially my main sponsors, if I'm putting it out there, I'm using it. So I'm happy I'm in a place now where I can say no, or it's just not going to work. So yeah, they were great. It was a fun run, but it has to be something I actually use. There are energy drinks I use. I'm not going to say what it is now, because we'll see what happens down the road. But yeah, it is what it is. That's how it goes, man. A lot of sponsor stuff, like you have some that are family. I have sponsors that are straight up family that I've been with forever, and I talk to them all the time. Then you have others where, especially I was with the Rain for so long, they had a bunch of overturn there. I was close with some of them. The new guys I wasn't, so I didn't really have a relationship with them. Through the years, I did when I first started. My boy Braden, who's still there, but for the most of them, they're just not there anymore. So it is what it is, man. It was a fun run. It was a great run. Yeah, Chin, you never drank them, huh?
I drink them once in a while.
If we we have them here. We still have the fridge, and I still dig the people that did it, and they're crushing it. But it is what it is. At Patrick Martinez Martinez 2451. Fan question twice. That's how you know it's getting read. Do you think Greg Jackson doesn't want anything to do with the White House because John Jones ain't on rather than Trump? No, I don't think he's that loyal to John. John's made a huge mistakes. That wouldn't be the reason. Concerning Solomon in Miami, thanks. Keep up all the work. I appreciate hearing your kids' stories. Hope your girl is good. What's she into? I have a girl the same age. Dude, she's into everything. She's such a critter. She loves, what's the lady's name? The fucking Miss Rachel. God. Miss Rachel. Come out with some new episodes. I'm so sick of hearing the same shit. The wheels on the bus, sticky, icky, icky. Oh, God, I need something else. I wish she was into MMA would be sick. If she listened to like MMA shows and shit, that'd be sick. But Miss Rachel, and then she plays with her brother's truck. So I'm like, easy there. Easy. We don't want a butch on our hand, But yeah. But what was his first question, Chip, where he changed it, Bubba?
Let's go.
Oh, with John Jones, with Greg Jackson. I don't know what's going on with that. It wouldn't be John Jones. There's no way you're like, well, if John's not on it, I'm not working it. There's not, because Jones hasn't fought in forever. So I don't think it's that. I mean, I don't know. Maybe Greg doesn't agree with what's going on with the UFC and the White House relationship. Maybe he's busy. I don't know.
Is he even still with John Jones? I don't remember.
Yeah, he still works with John. Okay. Yeah. I don't know. I'd like to hear it from his side, but, Greg doesn't do a ton of interviews. It is weird. It's also got it. Okay. All good at the end of the world. Because it's not like Hokit used his game plan, He's fought like a fucking banshee. So, he kind of did it without coaching. At Mike_the_OT. Fan question. Do you think Dana is disciplining Arman and John because they're outside antics? And Dana knows Arman could be a problem if he becomes champ? I think... Again, I don't think it's their outside antics. John's a separate thing. John's a completely separate thing. His career's done, over. He only has one left. That's a different animal. And the price tag that John's demanding, that's a completely different thing than Arman. Arman clearly has a discipline issue. I like all his antics, and he's brought his name up big and stuff like that. But don't forget, he missed weight when they gave him a title shot against Islam. So that was the big no-no. And then, headbutting Hooker, the flight issues, the Uriah Faber shit. It's adding up. And you can see why Dana's like, He's so good. I get it. Hopefully he just gets this out of his system and then we'll give him the fight. But I don't think it's Dana. I told you guys this a long time. I don't think it's Dana. I think it's the other suits there that are doing all this. I don't think Dana has some vendetta against Arman or anything like that. They told him he'd fight the winner of Gaethje and Topuria. So I think it's just a matter of time. But I guarantee everyone in that building, including Dana, is a little worried if Arman becomes champ. It's like, oh.
Because he's
Oof.
already this way right now.
But here's the thing. It's oof, but we're making money off of him.
Yeah.
Oof, but he's getting views.
But Conor, it took him to get like super famous before he started doing all this like wild stuff.
Yeah, Arman has ways to go.
Yeah, but now that he's can you imagine when Arman's champ and like on top of the world?
Hopefully he chills out. I don't know. But yeah, it's working for him. But no, I don't think Dana's holding grudges with Arman or anything like that. And for John, it's a money issue. Two completely different things.
Let's see if this. Did we do this one or no? Okay.
At 44, Nick Lakanda Astamakar 99.
Close enough.
Fan question. Fourth attempt. Blame Nick and Chin, dude. I would have saw you on the first time. Hi, Brendan. I'm from India. Wow.
Nice.
Been the biggest fan of King of the Sting. I've at least seen each one of the first 100 episodes 5 times. That was a fun show, dude. Mind you, English is neither my first language nor my second. Cats was that good. Yeah, it was good, man. Got me through some tough times during my medical school. Now it's all good. Serving as emergency medicine doctor now. Wow, good for you, brother.
Awesome.
Why is there absolutely no buzz about potential Shavkat versus Islam? I guess he's coming back second half of the year. Probably longer than that, Bubba. It'd be the best fight the UFC can make in any weight class, Clash of the Titans. And also make a reunion episode of the Cats. Would appreciate it a lot. And thanks for the memories. Thanks, brother. Yeah, it'd be good to get the gang back together. One day. We'll see. We got Chin.
Forward.
Me and Theo still talk.
Nick's around.
Nick's around.
That's down.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. Go back up. Shavkat Islam. Shavkat's thing is he injured his knee, right? And he's out for before that he was injured. Then he got back in training camp. He's injured again. So the reason no one's talking about Shavkat versus Islam, because once Shavkat figures out his knee issue, which has been a terrible thing for him, it's really postponed his career and his getting that work inside the octagon. When he comes back, you ain't, after basically a double knee surgery, you ain't fighting Islam. The fan base has forgotten about you, especially this new young fan base. So he has a lot of work to do. So that's why you're not hearing any buzz, because Shavkat's not even in the running. Like, he's not even, no one's thinking about him. He's not active. But he was a motherfucker when he was fighting. So hopefully he figures all his issues out, gets 100% healthy. He'll probably have to win 2 to get back in the queue against Islam, and then we're cooking, bud. And if he does come back, then you're going to get the buzz. But right now, there's nothing there, bud.
Do you know much about like if you injure this and it gets re-injured again, is it like way worse for you, or is it better?
Way worse. It becomes an issue, yeah.
Oh,
it's not good. Fan questions. Steve Hall 4687. Again, was there 4,687 Steve Halls before this? Steve Hall, I can't imagine. All right. Big fan. Glazin done. Oh man, they cut off the Glazin, dude. Number 1, Conor and Paddy are both big draws. Wouldn't it be better, instead of Conor versus Paddy for International Fight Week, having one big fight, have them fight other opponents on the card and have 2 big fights? Yeah, but I think they're worried about Conor losing. Right? Because we don't know what version we're going to get. Hopefully he wins, and your idea makes a ton of sense. What if Conor loses? What if he gets knocked out in the first round and then Paddy wins? It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Like, all right, here's Paddy. Conor's like, what? I know they're 2 big names, but if he loses again, it's probably over. So I think the UFC has to be smart about this. Like, all right, if he's going to lose, we want to get that rub and put it on Paddy. That's why they're doing it. 2, is it possible that Netflix is testing the waters in MMA? If all goes to plan, they have money to put together a series like Drive to Survive that follows the teams throughout the year. That series was huge for F1 and could be for MMA as well. A series like Drive to Survive, if you had stars, which F1 had, right? They have a lot of big names because they're the only show in town. A series like Drive to Survive on free agents that aren't in the UFC is probably not going to do too well. So I think, again, I talked about it earlier. I think it's possible for Netflix MVP to do well if they do opposite of the UFC. Don't make a Ultimate Fighter Series. Don't make Drive to Survive. 4 to 6 fights a year. It's the Super Bowl every time. It's the biggest names that are available. That's it. I would like Drive to Survive, basically like a countdown show before that to build up the fight, and you do the press conference, stuff like that. But you can get fans engaged if they did like a really dope, say you use the team that shot Drive to Survive, and they do a like behind the scenes kind of countdown for the main people on the card, like why they're not doing this for Nate, Mike Perry, Rhonda, Gina, like behind this, Francis, like behind the scenes, dope shit. Now maybe they put this card together too fast, so they didn't have time to do that. I get that, but moving forward, give us that content, man. Because the UFC's really not doing it anymore, so they could really separate themselves from the pack. 4 to 6 fights a year, big boy fights, big names that are available, and we're tossing these dope ass build up shows into them. That'd be cool. But that'd be the opposite of what the UFC is doing. We don't want a league. We don't have the roster. We don't want a league.
And that's it for this one.
All right, kids. That's it. Again, if you want your questions answered, I've gone through so many of them. So put your questions, put question, and then submit your question into the YouTube comments on this episode, Monday's episode, or Friday's episode. The boys see them, I answer them. That's how this works. Happy Sunday. Love you guys. Thanks for everything. We got some big announcements coming up for the Schaub Show, aka Big Brown Breakdown, a new studio. More news than that, but we'll have a bunch of news for you guys coming up. Stay tuned. Thanks for sticking with me. Love you guys. I'm out.